This week on Once a Ranger, we're going to talk Power Morphicon because Minhas got to go, not the guys, even though they said they would, and they left me hanging dry. But let's run it down.
I'm not a ranger yet, but I will be in the future.
Once a ranger,
Always a ranger.
It's okay. Do you know what? No, my sister's particularly said, I'm sure you've seen the TikTok of her standing there while I'm talking to Rangers. She particularly said she only went for you.
oh,
You were not there.
Oh my god.
dang.
Wait, how is that okay? You're just like, it's okay, Nub. I was like, no, that's not okay. That doesn't make it
That makes
better.
it worse.
That makes it worse. It's okay, Nub. You only disappointed your fans.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing you.
I know, I know.
She's so funny. She's just being a little silly goose too.
Yeah. No, it's fair though.
Yeah. She was
Oh.
actually like just like as a side to get a little appreciation for my sister. She was like such a trooper this weekend. She like helped me take all my footage. She sat with me with all the panels and like talked with all the Rangers with me and stuff. So it was good. Like even though you guys weren't there, I wasn't like alone. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
it still ended up being a pretty awesome weekend.
Shout out to your sister.
Yeah.
Because even the TikTok you had posted, I was like, I don't know how true the feelings are, but still, like just going for your sibling, like that's big.
Yeah, it was obviously I hyperbole. Like she's quite neutral to. She doesn't like hate Power Rangers. I remember we kind of like I added something similar on my story, and I was talking to Jeff and Kevin, who are Ethan and Trent from Dino Thunder, and they saw the story actually, and they were like, you're." She was like, I'm neutral toward it." And they're like, "No, your face was like you hate it."
That's awesome.
It was so
Yeah.
funny.
Speaking of, tell us this.
Tell us.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. So this is my first Morphicon. It was actually a lot smaller than I thought it would be, but I think in my head the Power Ranger fandom is like huge when I guess it's like not. It's like a very small, like intimate fandom, which in a way it's very nice, right? Like I loved interacting with the fans and stuff, and like talking to the Rangers, like is so great because they actually like I guess I don't want to be like they remember you because that could be a positive or a negative thing, but it like and it's like not to get parasocial or anything, but like it definitely feels like a more intimate kind of convention, right? Like, and everyone's there for like one reason alone, and that is that you love Power Rangers. And I got to meet a bunch of people who are like mutuals on my Instagram that I like forgot because I forgot that like hey man, I have a lot of friends who like Power Rangers because all of us stopped posting Power Ranger stuff. We all met like 10 years ago when we were posting our cosplay stuff. And here we are at Morphicon. We're like, oh my God, do you remember we all met because of Power Rangers? And it was great. It was like really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely jealous, and I do wish I was there because I would
Yeah.
love to meet all the Rangers. Because it seems like it's very like I've been to other kinds of cons, but like these different some of the celebrities and these names, they're like you have to pay to meet them. I don't know if was it like that or was it just everybody had their booths?
Yeah, everyone had their booths. You had to pay to like get a picture or like, but you could talk to them. A lot of them didn't mind. I didn't do that a lot because I felt like bad. So if I talked to them, I did, except for no, I did. Yeah, if I talked to them, I was gonna say except for Jeff, but Jeff always is with Kevin. Like, so I feel like I went to go see Kevin and Jeff was there. Not that I wouldn't see Jeff, but it was like I talked to him because they were like together. They're always like a pair. But even like so Brennan and Hunter, I pay to like get their photo because it's like I feel like, oh, I'm taking your time, you
Yeah.
know. And again, if it's just again, I don't ever want to get parasocial with the Rangers. I don't ever want to get to that point because but my favorite Brennan, as you know, Tyler Navarro, my favorite Ranger. I was so excited to meet him. He was so sweet. Like honestly, he's like the sweetest guy. And he just like is super into it, right? Like he talked to my sister too, right? My sister who is and they all talk to my sister. I'm not gonna, but I'm just like my sister is an American Horror Story fan. He was an American Horror Story, so there was like an overlap in interest. So that was like an amazing experience. I don't know why he's my favorite. He just is like a long time ago, like 10 years ago, when not 10 years ago, a long time ago when Dino Thunder first came out. He's the reason I went on this like crazy fitness journey. Like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna become Ranger Fit, blah blah blah. And then I did it. Obviously not anymore. But I saw him again and I'm like, oh man, I kind of wanna again. Right? Like it's like
Yeah.
he's just so inspiring. Like something about it really gets you like, oh my God, I can do it. Like, yeah, work out.
Yeah.
And then one person who I didn't plan on meeting, but I ended up meeting because something felt like something was missing at the end of the weekend. I'm like, I feel like I need to have done something, but I didn't do it. And that was Meet Hunter. And so I went to the Dino Fury panel
Oh, Hunter
and
Dino.
yeah, Hunter.
Okay.
And yeah, I went to the Dino Fury panel and they were like just talking about the season and stuff. And I went to go, I asked one question to Chance, about like, him being a ranger, like one of the first rangers without actually like being an amputee and like how it's so serious, but it's like a kid's show. Like, how did you manage that? Um,
Oh,
and that
right.
was, yeah,
Like we sorry, the names sometimes I'm like thinking the character versus the actor. It
yeah.
was like my
I
name.
accidentally called him Chase, by the way. It was so embarrassing. I was like, I hope you didn't hear that. Like Chase and Chance are like kind of like very and there is a Black Ranger named Chase, like the character, right?
Right.
So maybe like that's why I tripped up. But I was like, I have
I
a
thought you
question
messed
for
up right now. That was the
this
thing. Because
time.
I
Yeah,
thought you
you
meant to
like
say Chase and you said Chance. And I
yeah.
was just like, oh no. Then you said the I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. I was like, I have a question for Chase, and he's like, me? I'm like, oh my God. This is so embarrassing. But it was hard for him to hear. Like, it was hard for anyone on the panel to hear. So I'm hoping he kind of like didn't really hear that because I had to repeat my question like a couple of times too. So
Mm,
hopefully the me was like, because I couldn't hear you and not like, are you calling me Chase by mistake?
right.
So embarrassing. Um, Brennan was actually just as a side. He had his child there that he dressed him up as like, or I don't know if it's like boy or girl, but dressed him up in a little ranger outfit, which is
Oh.
really cute as well. But back to Hunter. So I asked a question, and that was it for that day. Like I sat down. It was so brief. It was so fast. And then the next day, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna meet Hunter, right? Like, this is a controversial opinion, but Ollie and Amelia are my favorite ship. Like they're my
Mm,
favorite ship of all of Power Rangers. It's like, oh yeah, Tyler Navarro is my favorite Power Ranger, and Hunter and Amelia are my favorite ship. It's not what you like. I guess it's not what you typically would say, but that ship made me feel so many feelings. So I'm like, you know what? Like I love the season. I love the ship. It's my favorite ship. I'm just gonna go talk to her.
yeah. I mean,
And
it's
I
the only ship, it's the only relationship that really I feel went through anything.
yeah,
Like in terms of like turmoil, like yeah, sometimes a ranger gets kidnapped and whatever, like Kat and Tommy, that stuff happened. But like
yeah,
Ollie was evil for like an entire season. So like
yes,
that weighed on Amelia a
yeah.
lot. So
And not like started off evil. They got into a relationship and then he turned evil.
yeah,
And like the whole time, she's the leader. So Akil, she's like one of the first full season Red Rangers, like main character Red Rangers.
female.
She's a
Yeah.
leader. Her boyfriend's kidnapped. He's evil. He's actively trying to destroy you. Like, and this season wasn't like pulling any punches. Like, literally, somebody lost their arm. So it's like the gravity of this is very, very real. And she's like, I need to fight him, but I don't want to. He's my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's like so honestly, it's so good. Like it's such an amazing relationship. I loved it so much. Um, and Amelia, she's like Hunter, she's so cute. Like she's
Hmm.
just like so excited to be there. It's so excited about Power Rangers and stuff. Like some of the Rangers like are there because but that's okay. Like get your bag. But like some of the Rangers like really, really excited to be there. And Hunter is one of them. And I went up to her table and she was like, oh, you asked a question at our panel. I was like, yeah. And I was like surprised she remembered me. And that's what I mean. It's like kind of like a little bit more intimate. And she's like, yeah, I remember your glitter because I
Mm.
always wear glitter. And that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah. And then I told her like Amelia and Ollie are my favorite ship, like out of all of them. And she's like, I've never heard that. Like she's like, I've never heard anyone talk about the ship before. And I'm like, like it's like so good. Like that Valentine, I was screaming at that Valentine's Day episode. I was screaming into my pillow. I'm like, oh my God, I can't with this. And like, so it was just like she was like super into it. And then my sister took a picture of us and my sister's like, whoa, she like some Hunter stood up and my sister's like, whoa, you are adorable. Like and Hunter was like, no, don't stop. It was really, really sweet. I think that was like my highlight of the
Mm.
weekend. Like honestly. She really like made my day. She's the best.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's
no.
amazing. I love that it's so intimate. Like I was following along like what you were posting and then also the official account as well. And you
Hmm.
can always tell like when you see like Comic Con or Fan Expo photos, who's the fan and who's the celebrity, because the
Yeah.
celebrities just look exhausted.
Hmm.
But with Power Morphicon, I couldn't tell who was the fan and who was the celebrity because all the Rangers were excited to be there. Some of them were even dressed up in these
Yes,
photo
some of them
shoots.
were dressed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of
So
the
like,
villains, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead, not to cut you off. Trakina,
Hmm.
she dressed up like on one of the days. She was in her full
Mm,
villain outfit, which was
wow.
crazy to see. Like she was at
Yeah.
her booth. Yeah.
That's
But go,
amazing.
yeah.
You don't see like the celebrity guests, or in this case the Rangers, bringing the energy that the fans bring to these conventions. So that was really cool to see. Did it feel like that? I know like some of them you said
Mm.
were just there to get their bag, but
Yeah.
did the energy sort of feel different there?
Yeah, it definitely did. There was definitely a love language to the ones that wanted to be there. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like some of them have just been there for too long, right? Like, I
Yeah.
Yeah,
get why they're tired, right? Like, maybe
right.
from the early seasons, it's like, um, not that all of them were like that. Some of them were still super into it, but yeah, like honestly, it is a love language. So this one girl, Nev, you'll know, Toxica
Hmm.
from Wild Forest. She disappeared off of like the public face, like after Wild Forest. She had not a public platform at all. And then the Yellow Wild Forest Ranger like found her private Instagram like before Morphicon, and like they caught up, and she came to Morphicon for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And after like after since Wild Forest, just like completely off the grid came, and she was so surprised. Like she was, I was watching her panel. I went to her panel, and she like cried. She's like, it's just like you guys like love this so much, and you love us so much, and like you have no idea the kind of impact that like you doing this project would have.
Yeah.
Right. And that was also like crazy to think about and crazy to see like someone who just kind of like removed themselves completely from the project and like the acting world and like the public eye, and then come back and see like, wow, this is like a dedicated fan base who like genuinely loves this show.
Yeah.
um I always
Yeah.
say I keep forgetting how much I love Power Rangers, and I don't know why I keep forgetting that, but like every time I watch it or I'm like, man, the show, I just love it so much, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Nev, you were saying.
I was just gonna say it's a shared sentiment from other interviews I've watched with people, like other Rangers, from the past and stuff, who I think like Austin St. John kind of had a similar experience, like because he distanced himself after he left, probably disgruntled with the way everything panned out and everything. But like I know like when he like what came to, I think he went to a con because of Walter or David Yost, one of them, I think. But like, or maybe it was Jason David. I don't remember who, but like I remember something like that. But he was just like, oh wow, like people like remember and care, and I get it that like they might think, oh, this is a silly kids show, and like they're not getting jobs. A lot of them are not getting jobs
Mm-hmm.
after that, so it's just like clearly this means nothing, right? Like in their heads, I can understand how they might think this, what could this mean to anybody if like I'm actually almost being blackballed, right, from the industry because of appearing in this. So like I could imagine it being a big shock to them. They're like, oh wow, people 30 years later still love this and like are into me specifically. Like some of them are like, no, I don't think anything's wrong with Toxica, but like she's not a character I think about on the regular, right? But I'm
Yeah.
sure there are some people who do really liked her, right? And
Yeah.
so
There was
it,
two Toxica cosplayers there
yeah.
with two princesses, and they were all
Mm.
like paired up. It
Oh,
was
that's
so
really
cute.
cool.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, that's so adorable.
So like, but yeah, so I could see how a lot of them would just think like, oh, whatever, like, who cares? But yeah, so immersing yourself in the fandom, like it'll just shows you that, yeah, I mean, yeah, and I agree, Power Rangers is the best. And I do forget too. Like that's why, as much as I think I'm like the most critical of the show between the three of us when we review, but like I love the show. Just because I maybe don't love an episode, the show doesn't become worse for me.
Yeah.
Like it's still my first love ever. It's still like I have all these toys downstairs, like a shelf full of Power Ranger toys. Like it literally, when people come to my house, they see that and they're like, oh, And sometimes I'm like, I don't know how like any of my partners are gonna react to this in the future, just like, but I have to deal with it
Yeah.
because like that's me,
Yeah,
you
it is.
know.
It's a big part of who you are. And it's crazy because when you're not watching it, okay, I think that's why you forget. Because when you're not watching it and you hear people talk about it, you're like, oh, yeah, it is just a silly show. Like, I like it. I have fun, but, it is whatever. But when you're watching it, you're like, oh my God, this is like super fun. It's not just like a little bit fun. Like, I'm having a blast here. And I care. I don't know why. Like, I feel feelings for these characters, right? So, like, even though it's like, oh, they're fighting a silly monster or whatever, I'm like, no, if I were in this situation, I'd be super stressed out. Like if I had to be like Carter Grayson, like how would I even handle this situation?
Well, that's actually exactly why ourselves and other people love it, is because all these characters are aspirational, right? Like it's the
Hmm.
reason I fell in love with Power Rangers in the first place. I'm like, oh, they're like good people that just love helping others and they're tasked with protecting the world. Like, what more do you want from what you should aspire to be in a person? Like, you can't, when you look at Carter Grayson or even Jason, Scott, like what more could you ask for in a human being? Like they just do good. And I know people like it's a point of like comedy and people like to make fun of it because like, oh, they're like goody two shoes. But I'm like, but they're just good people. Like, why do you not want to be like that? Like
Yeah.
what is it inside of you that makes you look at them in a judgmental way as opposed to a wow, I wish I was more like them? Because that's how I view them whenever I'm
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah,
Mhm.
literally. I started a new job and one of the interviews, like we're having like a lunch thing where it's like, what is like a TV show that like changed your life? And I'm like, please don't judge me when I say this. But it's Power Rangers because I'm surprised that you said that in a work feed. I'm like, because like they just are who you inspired. Like they're good. They always try to do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it's super, super hard, right? Like Amelia not hurting Ollie, right? Like that is such a difficult position to be in.
Yeah.
Um, and
I mean
it is,
that whole season, it's why I love the way they did it too, of her becoming the Red Ranger. Because Akil, she was the Pink Ranger, and then she became the Red Ranger. And like the way they did it was the team was going through all these challenges. So one character loses an arm, Ollie gets turned evil, another ranger gets sent through a portal, they don't know where he is. So the team is they have to like use an emergency button on their base that sends them all the way to like a distant planet, and they're stranded now on this planet while the Earth is being attacked by Lord Zed. Like all of these things, and she's just like rallying together the troops and just sticking with it, and just like
yeah,
even, and it's not like she's stoic and doesn't express frustration or doubt, but she still is able to find that strength within herself to like take the charge and be the leader. And so
Mhm.
when she like becomes the Red Ranger, because they get new morphers, their previous powers were destroyed as well. Another thing, like they
it's
get new,
a lot. They've
yeah,
been through
like
a
it's in the
lot.
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
first one or two episodes. They're like, oh my goodness, this is insane. I love Cosmic Fury
Yeah.
so
It's
much.
so me too. I love Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury. Like I never thought I would feel this way about a season since like RPM and
Mm,
Dino Fury. Because like not Dino
charge.
Fury, Dino Charge. Because those seasons, like they make you feel something, right? I don't know. Like, okay, it's so funny. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it a bit for you because it's like you're not gonna remember years from now. But I was sitting in the panel listening to them talk. My sister, who's never watched this, she only knows like some seasons. And they're talking about the Red Ranger, the previous one from Dino Fury, and they're asking him questions. Oh, like, because and I had to explain to her, I'm like, oh no, he died. And she was like, oh, really? And then someone's like, oh, and then he became Zordon. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, and then he becomes Zordon. And then he comes back to life. And then he died again.
Yeah.
Like she was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like so much happens. And it's like one of the
Mhm.
few series, I think it's the only one after MMPR that has 3 seasons.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is crazy. Like that's why I think I also feel such a closeness toward Ollie and Amelia because you have time to get
Yeah.
attached to their relationship and see it grow and get attached to these characters.
And it's properly explored. Like there's other seasons where like relationships sort of happen, but they're not delved into. Like there isn't a
Yeah.
focus on them, but these two, it was clear that the writers were like, no, their relationship is a focus of the story of the
Yeah.
characters, right? It's not just like, oh, they're together and they say boyfriend girlfriend, but they don't really.
Yeah.
Even with I'm forgetting the characters' names right now, but the Green Ranger and the Orange Ranger, Fern
Yeah.
and Izzy, right? I
Yeah.
think it's Izzy. Yeah,
Izzy. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Like them, they also got like, especially in Cosmic Fury, they also got like a focus,
Yeah.
and so it's just like there was a real attention to these characters and their like
Yeah.
emotional states and well-beings.
Yes, and it affected their lives too. Like Izzy had to deal with her girlfriend having to go to school far away, right? And she can't leave because she's a ranger, right? Ollie starts ignoring his mom because he's in a relationship, right? These are like real like teenage problems,
Yeah.
right? Like teenage too. Like I think Ollie and Amelia and what's Chance's character's name? What's the Black
Uh,
Ranger?
I'm blanking, but yeah, I think it's only Izzy and Fern who are in high school, college. I think the rest of
Yeah, all of them because they work at a news
yeah,
organization. So the rest of them are a bit older, but like still young enough to have these kind of like issues.
They're not
Um,
teenagers? I thought that was the whole point.
well, when they become like cops, none of them are teenagers.
yeah. There's many seasons where they're not teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a number of them.
That's probably the biggest spoiler yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like real jobs, man, or they did, and then they became rangers, and then they
Yeah.
forego their jobs. Literally, like one of the seasons is because they're all like one's a firefighter, one's a nurse, one's a
Mhm.
sea, like a Sea
The
World
aqua guy. Yeah.
expert. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's whatever, but
Remember when they
Sure.
tried to drown the mermaid? I will never forget. I will never forget.
yeah, it is interesting for sure. But yeah, so but yeah, so it makes sense because like those characters and all the characters go through these like crazy arcs and journeys, and so yeah, the emotional connection makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like too, because that is like what's considered the like last season of the series. It's pretty much considered the series finale.
Yeah,
Nobody knows if Power Rangers is gonna ever be made new stuff again, right? Which is, and I think it's a solid season to end with. I don't want it to end there,
yeah.
but like if it did, I'd be happy with that, right? Like I'd be like,
Oh
okay, this is
yeah.
like a good final series. I felt that way with RPM and In Space, which both were
Mm.
also supposed to be the final series,
Yeah.
right? This time it feels more solid though.
Yeah,
It feels like oh, maybe we aren't gonna get any more Power Rangers, which is like weird to think about, like living in a world
yeah,
without that, without a new season.
yeah, yeah. Literally my whole life I've had Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So it is, but yeah, I agree that it's one of my favorite seasons, honestly, Cosmic Fury. I know I've heard people make mixed reaction to it, but I love it. Like I've watched it twice now, because I just think it's solid, like it's concise, and they just tell their story. And
Yeah.
are there things that could be better? Always, there's always things that could be better, but like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like they do enough, and like
Yeah.
they're
The thing
literally
is,
there are literal dropping moments for me in that season that I've
yeah.
rarely had with Power Rangers. Like the
Yeah.
end is insane. Like I'm not gonna spoil exactly what it is, but like the whole anti-Z wave thing. Oh
Yeah.
my god. I literally I wanted to text you, but I know you hadn't seen it yet. I was like, I need to
Yeah.
text someone about this thing because
Yeah.
that's
I'm
so
so glad that
wild.
you saw it before I did, because I literally was texting you every 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Like
see,
since the beginning, I was like, oh my god. Like even with the Ollie and Amelia, like as soon as they like that, before they even said that they were gonna be a ship, I'm like, I ship these guys.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, interesting, because you knew they were gonna get together.
Yeah. Yeah, I try
But
to keep it vague enough where you don't
yeah.
know.
The last season there was like Akela, it was like it was a Netflix series, so it only had 10 episodes. Unfortunately, it really felt like a Netflix series, so I think a lot of people had issues with that. The only reason for me it worked was because we had 2 seasons before and we know
Right.
who these rangers are and whatever. And I think I talked to you about it after that. I'm like, if they continue to do it like this, I think I'll be upset, because I
Fair.
need this, like I need this precursor to know these characters.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason they did it that way is because they had the 2 previous seasons. I don't think they would have done it that way without it. Like I mean maybe because it's
Yeah, it's Netflix.
It's
but
I
Netflix.
yeah.
They might have.
I think they
But-
would have.
But maybe Hasbro wouldn't have gone along with it. I don't know, but so but yeah, no, it definitely only worked because they already had 2 seasons of the established lore and character dynamics and everything like
Yeah.
that. So
Because yeah, Acolyte doesn't have any character development story really. Like the last season, it's all like a battle and stress, right? Which worked because we knew who they were and
Because
now we know how they're
yeah,
gonna deal with it.
yeah.
But if they only did
'cause-
that for Power Rangers in the future, I'm like, I don't care for this.
I
yeah,
look forward to fast forwarding through that season then, just like I fast forward through the fight scenes now.
No, you will not fast forward through it. They're very good fight scenes.
well,
Are
it's not
they?
just that
Okay.
there's good fight scenes, but there's a lot of I don't
Story
know if
going on.
saying yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of story and there is character. Maybe it's not development, but there's a lot of character dynamics taking
Yeah.
place, and like
Okay.
because it's all other than the Zords, it's all original footage. It's all American footage. You know, the Zord fights are Japanese footage, but everything else is original footage. So they spend a lot of time out of costume and just like
Right.
doing different things, interpersonal dilemmas is actually a lot of the season. So yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
but
Right.
No,
I guess I'll
you have
enjoy it when I
30
see it.
years to
yeah, 30 years to get there. Oh
30
man.
years to get there.
I want so as you know, I'm going through it still. Like I'm not giving up on it in my rewatch. And I'm like thinking about you the whole time, Akil. I'm like, man, I wish he was watching this right now with me because there's so much to say to you. I'm like, oh my God, I have to wait so many years until you get to this point. And I'm like, I do have something like weird happens or something interesting or something I love. I'm like, I wish Akil was here. It was like, I can't
Oh
even
yeah.
tell him.
I want to get to space so bad. I love In Space. I want to get to that
Yeah.
season so badly because there's a lot to actually talk about within space. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we've been having these conversations with the first 2 seasons now. Like, there's stuff, but after a while, to me, it feels like it's a little repetitive, you know. But like with In Space, is there's so much to like actually talk about, and like it's so good. We'll have to wait not too
Yeah, we
long,
have to
I don't
wait.
think,
That's
but
where I am right now, and that's literally funnily enough, the same sentiment.
yeah.
Enough. I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot wait to talk about the series.
Which episode
Uh,
have you gotten up to?
I'm close to the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like I'm almost done in space.
Because even like the quote unquote filler episodes or like more character focused episodes are still like noteworthy and important. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, this is
The
what I
the
want from Power Rangers. I don't need it to be this like serious, like Daredevil-esque story, but I just need
yeah.
real like emotional investment, which is what In Space gives me.
It's so interesting watching in space as an adult versus as a kid because Astronema as a kid is an adult to me, and to me as an adult, she's a kid to me, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
Like there's an episode where she gets a crush on somebody, and just like as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, she just like has this little teenage crush. It's so cute. And as a kid, I'm like, oh, look at adult people falling in love. You know? Like, but she looks like she's being babied, right? Not babied, but taken care of by what's his name? The guy with the green lines. Um,
Ecliptor, my man.
Ecliptor. I'm like, oh,
My
Daddy
man.
Ecliptor. Very good, very good. I made one of those like you know that audio, and I'm gonna post it soon where it's like, oh, I only watched Once Upon a Time for that one hot guy. You know
Oh,
that? And I did that with like Andros and
ah,
Ecliptor. Yeah.
Ecliptor is great.
Ecliptor is like, you know, he's the daddy of space. And that's not even like maybe that's literally what he is.
Yeah. Well, that's another reason In Space is so great is like it's the first time the villains have more than like they're just evil for evil's sake. Like they have layers to them, and there's
Yeah.
like infighting within the villains, which is really
Yes,
cool.
it is. There is a lot of
Um,
infighting.
like there's literally 2 characters, Ecliptor and this other character named Darkonda, and they just hate each other, and they just and it's so good. They literally
Yeah.
fight each other like every 3-4 episodes. Like it's so good.
Yeah, and one of the biggest like reasons the Rangers can win in the last few episodes that are really, really super stressful is because there's infighting.
Yeah.
Right? It's like sometimes they wouldn't have what they were gonna lose that fight, and then an infight happens between the two evil people. And it's
So good.
like they wouldn't have been able to get out of that situation otherwise. And TJ, okay, now we're like off topic of Morphicon, but TJ is I like we're watching it, I'm like, he's more of a leader than Andros is.
Yeah.
In the like I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
Andros is not the leader. I don't know why I made him my number 2 Red Ranger on my top 5 list. No, I still love him, but like
No, I love Andros too, but yeah, that's why
like
if not for Billy, TJ would be my number one Blue Ranger, because he's just so good. Like he unfortunately got stuck with a bad position for Red Ranger. But I think he would have done great as Red Ranger. It was just a bad season, bad writing for it. But he fit in so naturally in that Blue Ranger like support, but like almost like second in command, right? You know,
Yeah. But
and
sometimes he would be like making decisions more than
yeah,
Andros would. Like he would be the one to be like, Andros, you
yeah,
can't do this. Andros,
yes.
be reasonable. And then he would make the battle plans and stuff. Like
Yeah. Well, Andrews was
TJ.
too busy just watching his video over and over again.
Yeah, I know. Andros is like so
Who
silly,
took
but
that video, by the way?
I don't know.
So Andros and
Why?
his sister are playing like a game as kids, and his sister gets kidnapped, and Andros
Yeah.
has video of this happening. Who took that video, and why does he have it? It doesn't
And
make.
why did he not know it was
Oh yeah, the easiest like
that's
answer.
like oh wait, it's him. Like clearly, did you not watch the end of this footage after all these years? Andrews.
Yeah.
He's so silly.
Yeah, but I love his weapon. I love the spiral save.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know
he's
why.
very good.
It's just a cool, it's just like a drill, like a lengthy drill, but it's just but it spins obviously. So it's like it's called I don't know, I thought it was really cool. You know?
Yeah. It is a cool.
I'm a
like,
simple man. Okay.
I'm sure it is cool. I can't picture it right now.
Oh man. I'm so excited for you to get to It's Space Akil. I cannot wait. We have to start like recording like two podcast episodes a week, like
Yeah.
just like
we might
I
just
was
have
gonna
to
say
go
we might have
daily
to do
now.
less episodes because there's gonna be so much to talk about that they're
Yeah.
gonna be like 2 hours long if we do 3
Oh
episodes.
yeah, like literally, yeah, because each episode we're probably gonna have a lot to say because it's not like this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like in each episode has like a lot of story in there. Like it and oh, Akil, you're gonna get so excited because now they have like the last time on Power Rangers in space, Andrews went to the blah 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 blah, and then at the end they have like bloopers. It's like very like
really?
yeah.
Okay.
You'll love it. I just know that this is like a format you'll love.
Oh, I already love that. I love it when there's bloopers.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to Morphicon, what was like? Was there anything else that you did, or anybody else you talked to that really like stood out? Like anything?
Yeah. So I mostly like. So there was only 2 rooms, right? Oh, Nick.
Oh yeah.
Nick stood out.
Oh yeah, Nick.
Nick, as if you guys remember, I mean, you two do, but listeners, was one of our original members of the podcast. I got to hang out with him, and like got to talk to him. You moved on to a peace conference. That insinuates we didn't pay him enough, but none of us are getting paid.
That's true.
Maybe it is the correct reason.
I was just writing you off the show, in like storyline wise.
Yeah. So funny, but he honestly was so great to meet him and like talk to him because he misses the podcast.
Oh my god, I don't know, like I've never met him, but in my head I'm like, because we've all spent so much time, like, oh yeah, like we're all, but then I'm like, oh no, you met him like for the first time in person.
In person, he's so sweet too. Like, I mean, not that he isn't on like in camera, but like in person, it's like, so we had dinner, like you don't do that on the like we had dinner with him and a couple of his friends, and he drove me back to my hotel to make sure I was safe. He's a dad and he knows about safety, and it's like really nice. He's super sweet and he misses being on the podcast. Like I was like, I'm sorry I keep like messaging you or tagging you. And he's like, no, like I miss being on the podcast. Like it's just like I'm super busy. And I'm like, oh, totally, of course. Just like, no, you're always welcome back. And he's like, he wants to come back soon.
Okay.
So, but we'll see. Like it really, it is like, so exciting. Hopefully by its space. yeah. The white light. Oh, that was so good. But yeah, I miss his comment. I was telling him I miss your commentary on like the range. Like you had such great insight. Like, it like creates a good balance with the 3 of us knowing, and then really brings a lot more because each of us like pick up on different things, right?
I'm just here to follow along, try to keep up as best as I can.
It's weird when you think about like how much lore there is. Like it's so much, right?
It's so much lore, dude.
It is so much. That's why sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, and especially in more recent seasons, because like for a while I feel like the lore was like linear but disconnected.
Yeah.
Right? Like there wasn't much, but now they're like making callbacks and references and like drawing from things. So like in Cosmic Fury or Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury with the Morphin Masters, and I was like, oh well, like all these seasons, those powers came from the Morphin Masters, and you're like, wait, like 20 years ago, yeah, those Rangers got their powers from these ethereal beings that just like exist, you know. You're just like, okay, now we have to like rewrite in our brains like all the knowledge that we had and
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Retconning.
yeah,
Yay.
like we even said in that like early episode of Power Rangers where in MMPR season 1 where they mentioned the Morphin Masters, and it was like just a throwaway thing, but now the Morphin Masters are these like real ethereal beings that like are interwoven with the Morphin grid,
Yeah.
and they have all these insane powers, and you're just like, oh, so that throwaway comment in this like episode 6 is now like huge lore.
Yeah.
It's 30 years later. It's insane.
It is insane. I remember Akil being like, do they ever get brought up again? And I hadn't watched Cosmic Fury at that
Yeah,
point. And you didn't want to spoil it. And you're like, like, I was like, what?
you know, they're somewhat relevant. I don't know, but like no, they're like very, very relevant.
And I was like straight up like, no, I've never heard of them. What are you talking about?
I think I said like, oh yeah, in the comics they've like expanded it and like, you know, touched upon it here and there, but no, like in the latest season, it's like they show up. They show up and they're like involved in like the series. It's crazy.
That's so funny. I must have looked so foolish.
That's why I have trust issues now. So anytime anything lore is brought up in the show, I always ask you guys, is this important? Is this coming back?
Yeah, that's true. You will ask about like random things. I'm like, why would he ask that? Like, oh,
it's not important. Oh, we have to tell him.
Well, it might be.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's true. Who knows?
Yeah, no,
that's so funny.
Eggs never important. Just fun fact.
Are you sure? They've been pretty important so far.
Actually, eggs are important in Dino Thunder.
Yeah.
See?
The Dino eggs, yeah.
The Dino eggs. Yeah. That's so funny. Immediately you're like, man.
Yeah. There's too much lore.
There's too much
lore. So much. It's great. That's what I love about Power Rangers is that it's just like even again watching Once and Always too, like there are all these callbacks or references and connections, like with Space Patrol Alpha. Like we didn't even know exactly what that lineage is of Alpha to Delta, but it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's just these tie-ins and everything, and you're just like, things make sense.
I was actually talking to a lot of fans this weekend, obviously, and one of them was talking about Alpha, Delta, Beta, and they're like, it only makes sense to me if they exist all at the same time, where it's like they're just different sections.
It's possible,
because otherwise, timeline wise, how does it work, right? Because like next year is Delta.
True.
And Once and Always was like 2 years ago, right? So they're like, oh, you know, they're like subsections of each other, like departments almost, you know?
That makes sense, actually. Yeah, like they get different sectors. So like Alpha covers whatever. I don't know. Rangers.
Whatever Adam is doing up there.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Nick had this, it's a callback to our podcast. He has a little Pink Ranger sticker that, because he's an artist, so he was there as an artist selling art in Artist Alley. He had a sticker that said "Nice Stereo," which he talked about in our podcast. He's like, that's a very distinct thing that I remember. Now he has a sticker of it. He gave me one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really.
I think he said on the podcast that he was going to make merch out of that specifically.
Yeah, and then he did it.
Yeah. And then he did.
Yeah. Which is
awesome.
great. Yeah. And it was like, so it was like Artist Alley, the Rangers, and then panels. So it was like a very, very small thing. I like, luckily for me, my sister was there, my brother and my sister-in-law were also there. They were doing their own vacation. So like I got to do like my Ranger stuff and then hang out with my family. Which made my like weekend jam-packed. But if you only talk about the Ranger stuff, it's like not as jam-packed as I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I did so much and like only like it's like Ranger stuff. Like I just feel like I couldn't even sleep because I was doing so much. But it was fun. I wish I had my cosplay. I wish I did. I wish so desperately that I did. But they had, so there's this one booth there that they were selling like the Lightspeed rescue jackets, but there were like
Ooh.
actual jackets, like they were waterproof, they had reflector things. I'm like, I need this jacket. I tried it on. It looked so good. It felt so good.
Mm.
It was $600
I guessed it right.
USD.
I
USD.
guessed it right. I said
Yeah.
600. Oh my God.
And me, the CAD, could not do it. The CAD.
The
I
CAD.
could. I can't. I
Yeah.
gotta brush my dog. I have to like take my dog to the dentist, right? I'm like,
Right.
I had to
No,
choose between those things.
yeah, that's a lot of
Yep.
money.
They're
Do
working
you?
on,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think they're working on more stuff. Like apparently the guy's like a actual designer, like clothes
Oh,
designer
nice.
and stuff. But
Okay.
Yeah.
sorry, what were you gonna say, Akil? Do I
I was
what?
gonna ask if you got like their contact info or their Instagram or anything, because as
Yeah,
soon as we throw ads on this thing, that's first on the list.
that is first
As
on the
soon as we
list.
get
Each of
ads
us
on the
get like
podcast.
yeah. When we hit Lightspeed Rescue, hopefully we'll be at that point because that is a little ways away. Like, at least we get paid $1 per episode each instead of nothing. That's a joke, guys. It's fine. We love doing this. But
Yeah, we do.
but yeah, they looked really, really good. I really, really wanted
Mhm.
one, but
Mm.
I had to put on my be strong face, and you can't
Mhm.
spend like 600. I was like, that's okay.
Yeah,
800, not so much. You
not
know,
so much.
like well, that's like pushing it, you know.
Unless they could also just sponsor the show with some free jackets, and then we'll chuck them
Oh,
out for the
yeah.
And
next
then
few
we could keep here.
episodes.
We already have this free sponsorship. It's
Yeah.
so funny. A lot of people were wearing those jackets too. Like I think they were
Mhm.
doing really well, which is like it, honestly, I have a video of me. I have to post it. I have a video of me wearing it. It looks so good.
I
It
bet.
looks so good. Honestly, it's like
Mhm.
a second skin. And you can actually wear it as a jacket.
Mm,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
that's really cool. Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds like a great time.
Yeah, I
It
wish you
really
guys were
does.
there. Honestly,
Yeah.
like in 2 years, hopefully you guys can come. If we can go as a unit, I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be more hyped than I already was,
Yeah.
you know, like
I think
I
so.
mean, like it was already really hyped, like talking with Nick. Like Nick has a friend, you probably know him, Jimmy is a geek. And like a bunch of like the range, like I got to meet them. And I'm gonna talk to
Mhm.
two of them in a few days to talk about their Morphicon experience. So like it'll be fun like to have like their perspective on what was going on as well. Cause there was a lot, it's like me just being like, I feel like it's like so hard to remember all at once,
Sure.
Mhm.
everything that went on. Um, but it was really exciting. Yeah, I didn't talk to a lot of the actual Ranger actors, other than the ones that I talked to in the panel. And the ones that I met in person were Hunter, Jeff, Kevin, and Brennan.
Mm.
Mhm.
So those like, yeah, I like it's just I wanted the focus to be like fan focused. I didn't want to meet like Brennan though, for sure. Brennan
Right.
was the one. Brennan was the one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the main reason I wanted to go to Morphicon because he never comes to Canada. Like
Mm.
literally
Mhm.
never comes to Canada. I'm like I have to like Brennan is like the one.
Mm.
The other ones like I don't know about Hunter. This was like back when Morphicon first came out, but like the other ones like Kevin and Jeff, they're like local, so like they're here and like you know I'm like yeah let's go meet them. They don't come here anymore because they're like everyone. I was like you don't come to Toronto anymore, and they're like everyone who wanted to meet us in Toronto has met us. I don't think there's anyone else there that wants to see us anymore. And I was like, I want to see you. What about Minhas? But yeah, so but yeah, it was fine. It was good overall. Like I really wish you
Yeah.
guys will be there next time. I mean, I know we're really far from each other,
Mhm.
but we're all
Hopefully.
not only are we far from each other, we're all far from Pasadena.
Yeah.
So
I'll plan better next time. I
Yeah.
have 2 years, so
yeah, like
Yeah, we got
it's
2 years. Start saving
yeah.
now.
None
yeah.
of the SPD Rangers were there, so hopefully next time the SPD
Oh,
guys come.
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is strange. My sister was the one who pointed it out, and because she has actually watched SPD. She was like, "Where are the SPD guys?" I'm sorry that the few seasons that you watched are not here,
Yeah.
which sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. All in all, good experience. I definitely would go again.
Mm.
I love
Yeah.
Power Rangers
Yeah.
so much. It almost makes me feel silly. Like, not that when I went to Morphicon, it's like everyone loves it and you feel silly for liking it. It's like the actors who are there who are like clearly don't want to be there. Then you feel a little silly. I'm like, oh, I'm slightly embarrassed now. But then you talk to Hunter and you're fine.
Right.
You're like, no,
Yeah.
this is not silly. This is good. This is a good TV show.
Yeah.
But from what it sounds like, and then what I've seen, it seems like most of the actors did want to be there and were
Yeah,
pretty
most of them,
enthusiastic
most
about
of
it.
them did want to be there. I feel like, well, Steve wasn't there. Steve Cardenas, who played Rocky, he used to really be like that. Like, when I met him like a few years ago, he like clearly did not want to. Oh yeah, and there was like one person. I don't want to like shame people on here. There's one person who I talked to. I did talk to another ranger, but I didn't mention them because they clearly like they weren't like negative. They weren't like a dick or anything. They just like straight face. They're like, oh, thanks. Oh, okay. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
You walk away feeling like ashamed of yourself a little bit.
I kind of had that experience with one ranger I met at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, again, get your bag. I just didn't feel good after.
Yeah.
Which is like fine. Like honestly, you do you, I'll do me. Like I just know for next time to like avoid
Exactly.
you as a person, which is fine. Like again, at least they didn't punch an old man, right? Like they were just like not interested in being there.
True.
So like I will
was-
never like yeah, there was the Samurai Ranger like 2 weeks before Morphicon punched like and kicked an old man
Yeah.
who also turned out to be a veteran, and now there was a warrant out for his arrest.
Yeah. Or, you know,
yeah.
steal a banner that was meant for
That was meant for a charity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or stab your roommate with a sword.
Yeah.
Or sell
Okay,
Nazi
that one I can
t-shirts.
get behind, but
or sell Nazi t-shirts.
Yeah.
So like
no, he discontinued the
yeah,
Nazi
this
ones.
continued. So like it's hit or miss with the Rangers,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, so like if you don't want to be there at Morphicon and you're just there, I will not ever hold that against you. Not, and that's why
Yeah.
I'll never name and shame those Rangers either. Like,
Yeah.
I just be like, someone was like, "Why are you being so vague about it?" I'm like, because who cares if they don't want to be there? I
Yeah.
just like I'm telling you the story because I'm telling you, oh, it's sad that this happened, but I'm not gonna like shame that ranger for like not wanting to be. It's their job, right? They don't have to
Yeah.
love the show.
No.
Like I said,
Yeah.
they didn't punch an old man, so like, we're
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
in 2 years, hopefully we'll be one like you guys will like love us still in 2 years and listen to us still, and we'll be in a position that all three of us can go to Morphicon and
Yeah.
just like experience that together. And I really want you, Akil, to go. Like I want to show you, like, you know, like my little kid. I'll be like, Akil, look. You want to
Yeah.
go talk to the Red Ranger? Akil? You want to go take a picture with the Red Ranger?
I hope so.
Even though you're like 6'5" and I'm 5'3", we like it'll be like it'll be
Yeah.
like
I hope I'm at that point in 2 years, because as you're describing it right now and as you and Nev are talking about it, I'm feeling a lot like your sister. It's like
yeah.
I also have seen American Horror Story, and that's all I can bring to this conversation.
Right.
So I hope that by the time I get to go there, I'm at a point where I can appreciate it as much as you and Nev do.
Yeah. But also, if it makes you feel better, there's some people there who stop watching after it in space.
Mhm.
So like you don't have to like
I mean, I
know
haven't
all
gone
of
to
it.
In Space, but
Yeah, I know. But maybe so
Yeah,
it was funny because
by the time you guys are watching this episode, assuming you're watching it when it comes out, I've only seen season 1 and one movie,
yeah, in one movie. Yeah.
and that's it. I haven't seen any. Oh, and I guess the 30-year reunion, which
Yes.
mostly doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Which you're gonna have to watch again, by the way, when we get there.
I will
Yeah.
have to watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have a new appreciation for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be very exciting and fun.
I
I
hope so.
think
I really hope so.
there was one girl I met there who had only stopped watching In Space, as I mentioned. And
Mhm.
she's like, oh, you know, because the Disney era is bad. And in my head, I'm like, you didn't watch it? Like, how can you know it's bad? But I'm not going to say that out loud. I was like, oh, just so you know, like a lot of the Disney era ones were good. Like Ninja Storm was really good, and Dino Thunder was really good, and SPD was really good, and RPM was really good, which is like a lot. It's a lot of seasons that are really good. But
Yeah.
that's okay if you don't watch it. But don't say it's bad if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But Yeah, like you don't have to watch all of it. I'm a big believer in like even if you only like the aesthetic and never watch the
Mhm.
show, that you're still considered a fan, right? That is a very
Yeah.
unpopular opinion, but um
No, I can get on board with that. I think
yeah.
like because it has such a long legacy and it's so varied from series to series, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is
Um,
very, yeah.
I feel like you could just be a fan even if you've only seen like a series or two series or a part of a
I
series.
think you could be a fan if you've only watched season one and one movie and the 30-year anniversary.
I'm not saying that I'm not a fan. I'm just saying there's so much more to get the full Morphicon experience. Like just even in this episode, you guys and the people listening, there's so much to see. There's so much to do. I feel like
Mm,
is it even like worth the flight out there if I'm only going to taste a fraction of it, you know?
yeah.
I want to be in it.
Gee,
It's a very
thanks.
intimate experience like you said. I want to
This is
I
not
want to
worth
Yeah,
it
be
to
in the
see
middle of it.
us.
I know.
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You guys are halfway between me and California.
That's fair. That's
That's
fair.
I
true.
could very easily I will be in your time zone in December. Like it's very easy to get to you guys.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's
It sounds
okay.
like a really nice experience and I'm glad you got to be there and soak it all in.
I'm
Mm.
glad too. And I love that if it weren't for this podcast, I wouldn't have gone. Like that was my real push, right? Even though it's been on my I want to list, this was like the real push. I'm like, whoa, I just started a podcast and well, I gotta go to Morphicon now. Like
Mm.
now's the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
exactly it.
it's good. Power Rangers are so good, guys. It's such a good show. Until next time, stay morphin'.
Once a ranger,
Always a ranger.